So I'm back with my kid drawn mandalas behind my shoulder there, as you can see. They're amazing, aren't they? I'm really proud of them, proud of my kids. And my gingerbread man up beside my head, as you can see. I am the gingerbread man. Okay, here's one of my famous turnarounds. I've had plenty of people over the years look at me skew whiff and do this. See that, Jace? I don't know what he goes on about, but whoosh, 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 it's way over my head. You know, all this kind of stuff. For my rantings and my beliefs and my so-called spirituality. And the reason I say that is because actually, even the densest of rocks is spiritual. There's nothing that isn't. So I say my so-called spirituality. Right, let's get on with it. As I say, I've had people sort of look at me a bit skew with from time to time over the years because of my beliefs and all the rest of it. Here's one for you. Now, maybe even largely because of this corona issue that's going on around the world, more and more people who say they don't believe in this kind of stuff are actually becoming far more open than they've ever been to the thought that, or is that the reality that, maybe we are being visited. Maybe behind the smoke screen that we're all being thrown, there's things that are much larger going on in the world and with the world. Maybe we are being visited. Maybe there's something totally else going on somewhere. Maybe there's a massive hole in the ozone layer and all the air is escaping and they just don't want to tell us. Have you noticed anything about the air lately? Have you noticed that despite whether or not you've got corona, despite whether or not you have a cold or not, that you're waking up more phlegmy than you usually do? As a family, we've noticed it. We don't have a cold. Don't think any of us have got corona at the moment. We've hardly been in contact with anybody that could possibly have corona. This might say also that corona is becoming more and more airborne, actually. And if you think about it logically, because viruses do change and adapt, it's perfectly possible that corona is in the process of becoming airborne. When I was a kiddie, I used to collect scrapbook items, cuttings and stuff about UFOs and the way the world is developing and all that kind of stuff. Then there came Project Blue Book on the telly, a series that was on the TV. Then there came Close Encounters of the Third Kind, you know, the movie with Richard Dreyfuss. And then there came Project Blue Book again. There's been the X-Files over the years, and there's plenty of people who have UFO footage and scrapbook and all that kind of stuff. So despite the fact that people have sometimes thought that I'm a tad weird, in actual fact, there's a market for it. And there always has been, and there always will be. Because in any world of developing mentalities, there's always going to be the mentality that looks outward for signs and looks inward for signs as well. There's always going to be that mentality. There's always going to be the mentality, the people who look for ultra-dimensional, multi-dimensional, mega-dimensional beings and spirits. There's always going to be that. So there's my turnaround. The fact that for a while I've had a lot of people who've kind of looked at me skew with. Now, because of this corona thing, people are becoming much more open. Okay, let's say this then. How do you know it's not aliens visiting us? How do you know it's not a hole in the ozone layer somewhere that they're covering up? There's been enough videos on YouTube and Facebook just lately that offer that some people believe this is actually happening, from real popular videos that have been watched by millions right down to the wee local little videos that have only got 1 or 2 views on them. There's plenty of videos on YouTube and Facebook just now, especially, where people are videoing so-called spaceships in the sky. Okay, there's one that says, are they even hiding anymore? Or are they even trying to hide anymore? You know, because people are taking snapshots and videos of them hovering there in the sky, seemingly watching us. Well, here's the thought I had with all of this. Could they be air miners? If they're visiting our dimension or our planet and they're not here to save us, or they're not here to make contact with us, or they're not here to, I don't know, share with us somehow, could they be air miners like we are gold miners and coal miners? You know, and that's a legitimate question. Could they be air miners? Could their devices that they're plugging into our system be used for collecting or affecting the air? Because I, for one, have a feeling that something's going on in the air. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what, but I've got a feeling that something's going on in the air. Now, you can call me bonkers all you like, but at this stage in the game, anything could be possible. It could be anything that's going on. Now, that's not a thing about hysteria or trying to make people hysterical or trying to put across some kind of theorem or trying to get buyers or what have you, because in this time, I'm not really bothered whether or not I put across some kind of theory. I don't really have an intention. The intention in the work that I do, some of the videos that I make and the healing stuff that I believe in that some people don't necessarily go with, is largely, not even mainly, but largely to talk to people about the thought that we have more wizardry within each of our individual minds than we've ever given due thought to, and we can utilize that much more easily than we've ever really thought, especially in times of stress, especially when it's needed, Also, something else on top of all of that is, even if it was a little more innocent, like there is no hole in the ozone layer, there's nothing larger going on, we're not being visited by the aliens or our creators or whatever. Here's another thought. We know that whatever government it is has stockpiles of the viruses of the world. We know this. We know they experiment with them. We know how clever certain governments and certain government agencies can be, don't we? So, what if the powers that be have experimented to such a degree that they could put a virus into the atmosphere that does affect only a certain specific genetic type or a genetic race of humans or animals, and whose effects are so subtle that they can decide on how many years that particular target is going to live for. The mind boggles, doesn't it, when it comes to this kind of stuff? What if they can decide on what ailments certain people struggle and suffer with, and on what time scale? What if they can, you know, give a date to when people get certain ailments, how long they last, how severe the symptoms are, what they do to you, and when you die? What if they can decide this? You know? What if they can? What am I saying, and what's my point? I could get shot, you know. I'm aware of that, but somebody needs to say it. And something needs to be done. I don't want this kind of conspiracy theory headedness to go to my head. I don't want to become a conspiracy theorist. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. Not really. I've got my own family to look after. And I've got my own business that I want to build. So to some degree, yeah, I want to do some world building. But what if the government's agencies can actually do this? A question I have on my mind is it not time that astrally, and in remote viewing terms and remote influencing terms, is it not time that we astrally and remote influentially channel and funnel the power back to individuals, the populace, and again turn this world around into a party of love, instead of the fear that is being spread